16 seconds, 24-0 Bears. I don't believe they're going to get another playoff here.
And the Patriots are jumping up and down because it's down under the 30-second mark, and that means it's just going to burn out. That means that the Patriots are indeed the champions of the American Football Conference of the National Football League. What a day. Patriots 31, Dolphins.
And this one is history with a stunning 24-0 victory over the Los Angeles Rams. The Bears have captured the NFC Championship. Fire up the gumbo and clear the French Quarter. Here we come. New Orleans for Super Bowl 20.
Double Line Productions, in association with GGP Sports, present this Super Bowl 20 Sports Exclusive. John Madden's Super Bowl Special. John Madden's Super Bowl Special is brought to you by Light Beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer. And less by AT&T. In long-distance services, information systems, telephones, and computers, AT&T is the right choice. And by TYLENOL. Trust TYLENOL, the pain reliever hospitals use most.
Well, we just rolled in from Chicago. I'll tell you, I've been in Chicago for 3 weeks watching the Bears. You talk about a wild city. There is a city that is ready for the Super Bowl. So now we come down here to New Orleans. Now you talk about another wild place, New Orleans, and the Super Bowl. Those things, they just kind of go together. You know what I mean? Wild teams, a team from Boston, a team from Chicago, coming down here to New Orleans to play a Super Bowl. Well, the next hour, we're going to show you that craziness around New Orleans. We're going to analyze both of these teams. You know, how did they get here? I think the Chicago Bears, you could see it coming all year. They had the best record in the NFL. Everyone knew about the Bears and Jim McMahon and the refrigerator and their 46 defense. But how about the Patriots? I think they kind of sneaked up on everyone. Now, they were talking about the Raiders, maybe they would be there, the Miami Dolphins. And here through the back door come the New England Patriots. But we're going to analyze the Patriots. We're going to analyze the Bears. We're going to talk to players and coaches on both teams. Yeah, we'll have Raymond Berry. We'll have Mike Ditka. We'll have the refrigerator, Jim McMahon. We'll talk to all those guys. We'll even talk later to Jimmy the Greek. See what he thinks. Who he picks to win Super Bowl 20. So stick around. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Super Bowl 20, right here.
A little confusion can be fun, but not when you're looking at long-distance phone companies. Because all companies aren't the same, you have to watch out for the unexpected. No operator service and no service from many small towns. Different levels of transmission quality and no immediate credit for wrong numbers. Only one company comes with no surprises. AT&T. The more you hear, the better we sound. AT&T, the right choice.
Staying healthy on this job means being careful around the machinery. When the noise and glare give me a headache, I'm just as careful about my pain reliever. It's TYLENOL. You know what convinced me? When I sprained my ankle and went to the hospital, they gave me TYLENOL. It handled the pain without upsetting my stomach like aspirin used to. Seems TYLENOL is the pain reliever hospitals use most, more than aspirin or any other type of pain reliever. If hospitals trust TYLENOL, so can I.
Trust TYLENOL, the pain reliever hospitals use most.
And thanks to WGN Radio for those last moments of the Rams-Bears game. We'll be back right after these words from your local station.
Why do 5.5 million readers turn to Golf Digest magazine for instruction that works? Some of the best step-by-step lessons in print from playing editors like Nicholas, Watson, Pate, Irwin, Kite, Lopez, and from the entire teaching staff of Golf Digest's world-famous instruction schools, where golfers willingly pay $1,800 a week to become better golfers. If it's your objective to become a better golfer, call this toll-free number. To order a full year of Golf Digest 12 authoritative issues for just $9.97, almost half off the regular cover price. Order now, and you'll receive free Golf Digest's 20 Ways to Hit It Farther. 48 pages packed with tips from the pros to help give you more distance off the tee. To raise the level of your game and lower your handicap, let Golf Digest make this your year in golf.
Call toll-free 800-228-6550. 800-228-6550.
Welcome back to my Super Bowl special. We moved from the train depot, and now we're down here on Bourbon Street. We're getting the real flavor of Super Bowl. We talked about what a crazy place it is to play a game, but it's a great place for a Super Bowl. So let's start with the Chicago Bears. You know, the whole road to this Super Bowl started for the Bears a year ago when they lost out in San Francisco, Candlestick Park, to the San Francisco 49ers. From that game on, Mike Ditka says, we have dedicated ourselves to this year, and we're going to play the entire year with a chip on our shoulder. I'll tell you, the Bears did that. Let's take a look at them.
We are the Bears, coming through, shutting on down, doing it for you. We're so bad, we know we're good, blowing your mind like we knew we would. You know we're just strutting for fun, strutting out stuff for everyone. We're not here, starting no trouble, we're just giving you the Super Bowl show.
Well, they call me Sweetness, and I like to dance, running the balls like Mickey Mouse Mance. We had to go to training camp to give Chicago a Super Bowl champ.
The Chicago Bears have been talking about a trip to Super Bowl 20 since mid-season when they made their Super Bowl Shuffle video. But they've been thinking about it a lot longer than that, since they lost to the 49ers in last year's NFC Championship game. Second best just wouldn't be good enough for the Bears in 1985.
What point did you have the feeling that there's something special about this team, or it's a championship team?
Well, John, I felt coming out of the playoff loss last year to San Francisco that if we could make some changes and keep some people healthy, that we'd have a chance to get back in the playoffs. We won some games early because of the offense. We won some games early because of the special teams. And then the defense really molded into a unit, and of course, they really carried us through our season.
Mike Ditka has been able to get the Bears' offense and defense to play together as a team. It hasn't always been that way.
When I first came here, the offense and defense were like two different teams. You know, it was like the Green Bay Packers or the LA Raiders in the other part of the locker room.
You know, it used to be on the Bear defense that, you know, you gave up 10 points. That's it. We just lost that game because we're not going to score 10 points today.
Buddy Ryan's defense didn't leave anything up to chance or to the offense in the playoffs. The 46 shut out both the Rams and the Giants and scored a touchdown in each game. Now, no team has ever been held scoreless in the Super Bowl. And while the Bears defenders won't come right out and say it, their goal is 3 shutouts in a row.
I've got to believe that after the last 2 games that nothing's impossible. I think that's a great feeling that we honestly feel we can shut down anybody now.
Do you think that Eason can handle a blitz? I mean, a lot of pressure?
Well, he picked up a lot of them in that second game for us. Himself.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
For our team to shut out 2 playoff teams is incredible. Now, I know what they're thinking, and I know that it's a great thought to have. And I'm not saying anything's out of the question, but this is a good football team we're playing, and it'll be very hard to control them totally.
The thing is, the defense doesn't need shutouts anymore. Now the Bears can score with Jim McMahon at quarterback, and Willie Gault had 2 big games in the playoffs.
Well, I think Willie's really played well these last 2 weeks. I mean, he's caught the football excellently. He's been getting open, or even when he hasn't been open, I've thrown the ball, and he's come up with a key catch for us. And, you know, with his speed, you know, we've got to be able to depend on him, and he's come through for us.
I gotta get ready for the Sunday fight. Now, I'm as smooth as a chocolate swirl, a death little funky, so watch me, girl. There's no one here that does it like me. My Super Bowl Shuffle will set you free.
At this rate, the Super Bowl Shuffle could go platinum soon. You know, those Bears are something. I'll tell you, my partner Pat Summerall and I did 5 Chicago Bear games. During that time, we had never seen a team score a touchdown on it. Now, that's real defense. We were in Chicago for 3 weeks, and I had never seen a large city like Chicago take on a team like they've taken on the Bears. You talk about excitement. That place knows how to celebrate. Chicago, Illinois, the second largest city in the United States. Whoever called this place a windy city knew what they were talking about. Over 3 million people live here along the shores of Lake Michigan. And as of 2 weeks ago, each one will tell you that he or she is a lifelong Bears fan.
Well, it's about time. It feels great. It feels great to have a winner. We deserve one. Everybody else is winning. It's about time we won something.
You have to work with people that are Packer fans, Lion fans, Viking fans, and they're always shoving it down your throat. And now it's time we shoved it down their throat through the whole year, and it's our time to sit back and reap the benefits from it.
I'm from Chicago, and it's great. I think it's wonderful for the morale of our city.
This is a great sports town with 5 major franchises, but no champions for over 23 years. Fans here are loyal, yes, but I wouldn't call them tolerant.
You know, when we come out of the off the field now at Soldier Field, it used to be called the Tunnel of Love, and it wasn't meant in anything but a derogatory way, because they used to pour beer on us or, you know, scream and yell at us, and then they put a little canopy over and they burned a hole through that so they could put the beer and everything. And now we come off, everybody's got their helmet off and, you know, waving to the crowd. Well, I'll tell you what, it used to be a day when you kept that helmet on until you got in the locker room.
I'd be the last one to call Chicago fans fair weather. They're like the Postal Service. Neither rain, nor snow, nor gloom at night could keep them down. They were celebrating in the streets and singing in the bars after the Bears beat the Rams 2 weeks ago. Chicago's party was long overdue.
They love football, they love baseball, they love their basketball and hockey and everything else, but just to be the team that brought it to them. Because they sit out here a lot of days when we weren't so exciting to watch, and they did it anyway.
Well, that's what's so much fun about this, right? You have to suffer the pain of those years where things weren't going quite as well as you'd like, and now, thanks to the hard work of a lot of people, we've got the good prospects as far we're in the Super Bowl, and that in itself is terrific, and now we think we can win it.
Come to think of it, Chicago is a lot like its Bears. Parts of both are tough and gritty. Each has its outlandish characters, and both city and team are feeling a little proud right now. I think you could just see it coming with the Bears. You know, they had that chip on their shoulder, and they were 12-0 at one time, and I think everyone felt that they would probably be the NFC representative in the Super Bowl. But how about the AFC? There was talk early, maybe it'll be Seattle, maybe it's Denver. Later in the season, how about a Raider-Bear Super Bowl? That'd be a good one. How about a Dolphins and a Bears Super Bowl? No one talked about the Patriots. They just sneaked up on everyone. Bought with money scraped together from the last of his savings, Bill Sullivan became the owner of the AFL's final franchise, the Boston Patriots.
I think we're the only team of 28 that has never had 1 ounce of government subsidy.
Names like Cappelletti and Pirelli led Boston's answer to professional football. Some New Englanders use the term professional loosely, very loosely. In and out of 5 different stadiums, including hallowed Fenway Park, the Red Sox magic never seemed to rub off. Change the team's name. Maybe that's the answer. The Bay Street Patriots for a day, until someone realized that the abbreviated name BS Patriots wouldn't exactly look too good in print. Back to Boston and eventually New England. Jim Plunkett, even Joe Kapp for 2 games, provide recent memories of Patriot lore. But both of these NFL greats had their real success in other uniforms. Things changed in 1984. Raymond Berry, ex-Baltimore Colt great, took over as head coach. Now, Raymond Berry didn't have much natural talent, but he worked harder than anyone else, just enough to team with Johnny Unitas and become half a Hall of Fame connection. Berry is liked by his players, and he knows how to communicate with them.
I can just see the fact that it was just a matter of time if they kept doing the things they were doing, was they were playing great effort football, and they were just giving it everything they had. And when you do that, you just hang in there. It's going to pay off, and that's what I told them.
What turned everything around was an offensive plan that took advantage of the Patriots' talent, like running back Craig James, a USFL transfer, and an occasional passing game with a deep threat in Irving Fryer. It was a game plan carried out by their backup quarterback.
when Grogan came in, he called his own plays and started running some plays that he felt would fit our personnel. And I think some of the assistant coaches on the staff saw some things in us that he hadn't recognized, and they mixed and mashed and kind of figured out what plays in our scheme would work with the type of people we had to execute them.
The Patriots' offense, though effective, is conservative. That puts more pressure on the defense to perform, and they've met the challenge.
Well, we've been trying to really create a lot more turnovers than a year ago, and we've been able to get around the ball a lot and make big plays for our offense, and I think that's been the key to putting points on the board this year.
With all the talk about the Bears' defense, the Patriots seemed overshadowed with players like Julius Adams, the oldest in the NFL at 37, and black belt linebacker Andre Tippett, stalwart veteran linebacker Steve Nelson, and some outstanding play from their secondary and special teams. The Patriots caused 16 turnovers on their way to 3 playoff games and the AFC Championship.
For 3 weeks now, we've come with Freeman McNeil, Marcus Allen, and Dan Marino, and what we've done is we've slowed them down, and they've made plays on us, but again, we've made them execute perfect drives.
The Super Bowl hoopla has begun, and the Patriots seem ready for their biggest test.
We've kind of brought a lot of things to a head in terms of turnovers and controlling the ball, but, Sunday, the Super Bowl is going to be a whole different story. We're playing a whole different team with an entirely different defense, and, it's going to be tough.
Well, that's how the two teams got here. We're going to be talking more to the coaches and the players about Super Bowl 20. And then we're also going to be talking about this crazy city here behind me, right after this.
We're reaching out. Every weekday afternoon at 5 o'clock, Fred McMurray doesn't know what will happen next on My Three Sons. The fun abounds around the Douglas home as Robbie, Chip, and Ernie keep their father busy at all times. All this and more every weekday afternoon, right here on TV 40.
Working together, it's getting better. Channel 40 reaching out.
Jack, he figured the only way to get into a serious road car was to go empty his bank account and buy something from the Black Forest. But I talked him into driving a Mazda 626. Now he's going around telling everyone he knows about refinements, like the better aerodynamics, the new fuel injection, and the great performance. But the way I figured, I saved old Jack about $7,000. You think I'll ever see any of it? No way. That's what I thought.
We'll be back with a lot more on my Super Bowl special, right after these messages from your local station.
Hi, I'm Jack Lambert. I'll tell you how to look like a pro with NFL Pro Line. Let's start with the McGregor Sandknit jersey. You can order any NFL team jersey with a name and number you want, even your name. And look what else you can get. The same starter jacket you've seen on the sidelines during NFL games. How do we top that? I'll show you. With an NFL coach's cap by Sports Specialties. And what about a team helmet by Rawlings with face mask, liner, and authentic team logos? You can also get the official Wilson football, the same one they use in every NFL game. Call 1-800-453-9600 to order any item from the NFL Pro Line. The official football, the team jersey, the team jacket, the coach's cap, the helmet. Only credit card orders taken. NFL Pro Line. It's the real thing.
Welcome back to my Super Bowl special. Super Bowl 20. Who would have ever thought it would turn into anything like this when it all started in 1966? I remember Super Bowl 2. I was a young assistant for the Oakland Raiders. We were playing the Green Bay Packers in Miami. We didn't even know what the word Super Bowl meant. And I went back again, Super Bowl 11, as a head coach. We knew what it meant then. I'll tell you, it's come a long way from Super Bowl 1 to 20, and let's take a look at the whole thing with my buddy Jim Hill.
When you compare the tradition of the Super Bowl to that of the World Series or the Kentucky Derby, well, football's annual showcase is really just a baby. But the NFL championship game has turned into America's greatest single sporting event, and it all started right here at the Los Angeles Coliseum. It wasn't called the Super Bowl then, and the 30,000 empty seats seem to suggest this just might be a short-lived curiosity. Before the Super Bowl, television had already brought tremendous popularity to the established NFL. The American Football League was a thorn in the paw of the king of the jungle, a minor irritant whose persistence would soon command the attention of the older league.
The merger was announced on June 8th of 1966. Our intent was to form a single expanded league. And part of our merger conditions were, of course, to play a Super Bowl game.
In 1967, Green Bay was Titletown, a nickname aptly given to the frozen home of the Packers football dynasty. The upstart Chiefs from Kansas City were the opponent, and they could be forgiven if they felt a bit apprehensive about clashing with the NFL's version of Bigfoot.
Now here we were, the American Football League, the stupid stepchild of professional football. We didn't get any respect at all. We wanted to prove to the football world that we were capable of playing against the Green Bay Packers, and I think that probably weighed on our minds as much as anything.
Green Bay won the first two Super Bowls for the wingtip and crew cut set, and perhaps fittingly, it would be an anti-hero with white shoes and a Fu Manchu mustache who would lead the AFL to parity. Many things have been written and said about Broadway Joe Namath. Above all, he was a leader of his peers and an individual who would infuriate his elders. Namath's brash guarantee of victory for the Jets over the heavily favored Colts brought the AFL from the depths of obscurity and forced the NFL to adopt the younger league and call it their own. The year was 1969, the same year the term Super Bowl was coined.
The crazy name, Super Bowl. I mean, super is such a 60s word, and yet, it doesn't have this, maybe the class of Wimbledon or the U.S. Open or the World Series. Super, it sounds like silly putty or something like that.
My children had a toy called a Super Ball, and that ball was a highly concentrated rubber ball. You could bounce on concrete, and it would literally bounce over a house. And they were always talking about that Super Ball, and I think it was just, what would that be, alliterative? Would you call Super Bowl and Super Ball alliterative? And so it's an accidental name that got foisted on the American public.
The last 15 years have witnessed the Super Bowl phenomenon. The 10 most watched sporting events in history are all Super Bowls. If it were a television series, it would be a smash hit. The Super Bowl has become as much a media event as sporting event. No matter, the game has rarely lived up to its pregame hype. This Sunday, as it has for the last 2 decades, America will train its eye on the New Orleans Superdome as the Super Bowl turns 20. John?
Of those 19 Super Bowls, 5 of them have been hosted here in New Orleans. So they have experience. They know how to do it, as Barry Tompkins tells us.
It wasn't a bad deal that Thomas Jefferson's financial people put together when he sent them down here to buy the city of New Orleans. It seemed that the Emperor Napoleon was a little bit short of cash to fight the war in Europe, so he decided he'd throw in the whole state for $15 million. This week, the good people of New Orleans will probably get back the $15 million just in the sale of sweatshirts. New Orleans is a world apart. It's almost as though the pirate Jean Lafitte is still here doing his dastardly deeds in different forms, perhaps as a modern-day barman dispensing a local potion known as a hurricane, part rum, part vodka, part fruit juice, all hangover. In 1861, the Louisiana legislature voted to secede from the United States and join in the formation of the Confederacy. New Orleans became best known for 2 things, commerce and debauchery. Some things, I guess, just don't change. When the Bears and Patriots kick it off on Sunday, they'll do it in a place once called the Swamp. The Superdome now sits on a site where seedy saloons, gambling parlors, and bordellos are the prime source of revenue. The saloons, parlors, and bordellos are gone. The revenue lingers on. New Orleans is a city unto itself. Its culture, unique. The city that care forgot, it proudly proclaims. It's a party, not waiting to happen, but happening nightly, daily.
Hi, how you doing? Good to see you.
This week, the stage is Super Sunday. Next week, Mardi Gras. Calvin Coolidge's birthday. It needs no reason, no cause. Its taste, like its soul, is hot. This is the land of black and redfish, oysters, crawfish, and Tabasco sauce. Its pralines, chicory coffee, and beignets, a caloric delectable that's a cross between a donut, a bagel, and an anchor. The lifestyle, layback. It's directly traceable to beignets. The French Quarter is the city's heart, and believe me, it beats. It's Times Square on New Year's, Fort Lauderdale on Easter break, Rio at Carnival, all rolled into one mass of, for the most part, humanity. But come they do from the tundra, the frozen north, checkbook and credit card at the ready, seeking out that perfect ceramic beer mug, just the right T-shirt, and that special bumper sticker with your own name mimeographed right on it. Commerce and debauchery. Sounds like Napoleon made a hell of a deal.
I'll tell you, New Orleans really knows how to throw a Super Bowl. But when we come back, we're going to start talking some X's and O's. And we'll have San Diego Charger quarterback Dan Fouts with us.
My daughter came out to visit, and the guys at Mazda lent me this 323 for her to drive. She knew right away it wasn't just another small car, because it's more like a small road car. Smooth, quiet, solid, and roomy. I even told her if she wanted to get one with her own money, what a good deal it is. I'm really glad she's grown up to be sensible and practical, just like her old man.
Yeah. Right, Dad.
For centuries, the world's finest blades have been protected. Today, Wilkinson Sword has designed a special kind of protection for the Wilkinson Sword Retractor, the only disposable razor with a blade that retracts between shaves to protect the blade and make sure you get a close, comfortable shave time after time. The Wilkinson Sword Retractor, for shaving excellence, nothing can touch it, single or twin blade. From Wilkinson Sword, the name on the world's finest blades.
Stay with us. We'll talk to quarterbacks Jim McMahon and Tony Eason right after these words from your local station. Hi, welcome back. Well, now we're inside in the coach's office, and we're going to start talking some football. First, we're going to talk about the quarterbacks of both teams. We're going to do that with all-pro quarterback from the San Diego Chargers, Dan Fouts. Dan, first, Jim McMahon. What does Jim McMahon have to do in this game?
I think basically, John, he's got to play the same type of football he's played throughout the playoffs. He's made the big play when they've had to do it. He's avoided the turnovers. He's just provided a tremendous spark for the Bear offense.
How about his running? I know that, he was injured a couple of weeks ago against the Rams, and I don't know if that's going to slow him down or not.
I don't think anything's going to slow Jim McMahon down, especially a little bruise on his butt. He is a great competitor. He likes to run the ball. He doesn't like to run out of bounds. He's not afraid to take a lick. Those things will catch up to him, though, one of these days.
Well, he slides head first now. He has that deal going. How about getting the ball to Willie Gault early?
Well, it's important that he gets Gault off to a fast start because Gault is a game breaker. He's a big playmaker that needs his confidence early in the game. And plus, it helps the entire offense. If they can hit the big play to Gault, those linemen that are down in the trenches, they like to move down the field and set up their huddle a little bit farther away from the line of scrimmage.
In a new area. I caught up with Jim McMahon in Chicago this week.
He's a flamboyant type guy. He doesn't go by the book, to say the least. Like I said, he's an interesting guy.
I'm the punky QB known as McMahon. When I hit the turf, I've got no plan. I just throw my body all over the field. I can't dance, but I can throw the field. I motivate the cats, I like to tease. I play so cool, I aim to please.
Jim McMahon is one of the best things to happen to the NFL in a long time. He's a maverick, a cheerleader, and a leader.
The difference between this year's defense and last year's defense is that we have number 9 at quarterback. And when number 9's at quarterback, no matter what happens, we know we can stay in that game and win it.
He plays hard and he plays to win. But most importantly, he plays for fun. What kind of player, what kind of person, what is Jim McMahon?
Unpredictable. That's the only word I can think of right now. Hell, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm supposed to go to a meeting in 10 minutes. I don't know if I'll go.
Mike Ditka made a statement that the two things about Jim McMahon, one is he wants to win, and two, he wants to upset Mike Ditka. Is that what you're trying to do? Are you trying to upset your coach?
No, I think he took it more personally than he should have. I mean, I'm not doing things to irritate Mike. I'm doing them to humor myself, keep myself amused. This is boring. Most of this, practice and meetings for 2 hours. And to me, it's very boring. Sit in the dark and watch guys run around on the film. It's, I kind of lose sight of what I'm in there for. So I'll just try to do things to keep myself involved and happy. And I'm enjoying myself. We're on top of the world right now, and I don't see any reason to change.
Jim is as unpredictable on the field as he is off it. That's what makes him so good. He's not afraid to ad-lib with an audible or taking off the run like he did against the Rams. He has fun, but he says he plays angry.
You got to be mad, I feel. I mean, that's the way I've always approached the game, because it's not a nice game. I mean, it's a sick game if you really look at it. It's these bodies and, you know, hitting one another, trying to maim you. You know, it's not a part of everyday life, but I wouldn't trade it. You know, I enjoy it, and I just hope I can walk when I'm done.
Well, there's a little different type of guy, Jim McMahon. And now Barry Tompkins takes a look at the Patriot quarterback, Tony Eason.
As the Patriots prepared to begin a season which would end as the most successful in their history, head coach Raymond Berry called on third-year quarterback Tony Eason to lead the charge. Steve Grogan, the Patriots starter for most of his 11 NFL years, would also play a part as Eason's backup.
I told the media, you know, before the season ever started, that in my opinion, we had one of the best situations of any team in the NFL. We had two quarterbacks that could take us all the way, and that's the way I believe. I had no idea when I said that was going to end up being the case, because they both have.
Tony Eason had been an outstanding quarterback at Delta High School in Clarksburg, California. Population, 600 plus. Tony's brother Bo was also a standout player at Delta. Both made it to the NFL, but neither attracted the attention of major college recruiters.
At that time, major colleges weren't interested, and they still aren't interested in kids that come from small high schools. They don't believe that they can play big-time football or competitive football with kids who've come from larger schools. And at that time, I think Tony was just overlooked.
Tony Eason finally made it to a major college, Illinois, and became a Heisman Trophy candidate. But only after Coach Mike White took a special trip at a friend's suggestion to watch Tony play junior college ball. White took one look, and Eason headed for Champaign. When his college career ended, the quarterback from the small town that nobody wanted was the New England Patriots' #1 pick in 1983. Eason stepped into an ideal situation. Steve Grogan, the incumbent quarterback's years were numbered. He knew he would get his chance to play soon enough while having the luxury of time to sit behind Grogan and watch.
I'm trying to help without being too much help. A lot of times you can get too many people yakking at you, and a lot of them aren't making sense. So if I've got something important to say, I tell him, and if I don't, I stay away from him and let him collect his thoughts.
In 1985, Eason had the starting job all wrapped up, or at least that's the way it seemed. But if you were a fan of the New England Patriots or even a member of the offensive team, you had to make sure not to blink. Game 6, Eason out with a separated shoulder. Grogan comes in, wins 6 straight. Game 12, Grogan falls with a fractured tibia. Eason finishes 3 playoff wins and an AFC title.
Tony Eason may not have a veteran savvy, but for him and the Patriots, only one game remains.
No, they're a very fine football team. I only can talk about their defense. They're probably the best in the NFL, without a doubt, bro. I mean, they got some great talent, and they got a great scheme, and Buddy Ryan coaches them up very well, and they all know where they're supposed to be. So we got our work cut out for us.
Grogan will be on the sidelines, disappointed, knowing he probably won't see any action in a game in which he's dreamed of playing, but feeling confident that his team's future is in young but capable hands.
Well, there's a look at both quarterbacks, Jim McMahon of the Chicago Bears, Tony Eason of the Patriots. When I come back, we're going to take a look at Super Bowl 20 with Jimmy the Greek.
For Mike Blum, international consultant, headaches come with the territory.
It's a monstrous headache. It isn't just a headache. I'd love to have some aspirin.
Today, we'd like you to try extra-strength TYLENOL. It works without aspirin.
It's got to get rid of this headache.
Regular aspirin only gives you this much medicine, but extra-strength TYLENOL goes to the limit. It's the most medicine you can buy without a prescription.
No headache, and I have no stomach problems. I'm sold on extra-strength Tylenol.
Extra-strength Tylenol. You can't buy a more potent pain reliever without a prescription.
Nothing clears my head better than a romp down a road like this. If that doesn't make sense to you, then this car probably won't either. The new generation Mazda RX-7 pours out power as smooth as silk, as only a rotary can. And nothing has a more advanced suspension system, so you track through turns like you're on rails. You can pay a whole lot more for a sports car and still not have this much fun.
Say, aren't you the driver of this new RX-7? Hi.
Hi.
I'll talk with the fridge right after these words from your local station.
The greatest privilege of my office has been to lead those who wear America's uniform. And nothing means more to me as president than to live up to the trust of our servicemen and women, past and present. And you went to give, not for yourself, but for others. Not to conquer, but to liberate. You kept faith with America and our way of life. And don't ever forget, we wouldn't be free long but for your dedication. Our heritage of liberty and justice couldn't be preserved but for your sacrifice. Veterans, especially paralyzed veterans, know better than anyone else the price of freedom. For you carry the awful scars of war. Your sacrifices and hardships are with you every day of the year. We can offer you no better tribute than to protect what you've won for us. We will not forget.
Welcome back. And we'd like to now welcome Jimmy the Greek. Greek, when this season started, what were the odds that the Patriots would be here in Super Bowl 20?
About 35 to 50 to 1 that they wouldn't make it. Bears were 4 to 1. You know, they were second choice to the 49ers. You know, they were rated high to begin with.
Well, then, when did it change for the Bears? I mean, the Bears, when it started, the 49ers were the favorites, right? And then when did it change and the Bears became the favorite?
After Detroit beat the 49ers and Minnesota beat them, you know, which it looked like for a while that they wouldn't even make it, and they didn't. I mean, they didn't even make the playoffs.
So you could kind of see it coming then that the Bears were going to be here all along.
The Bears became a prohibitive favorite about the 5th or 6th week of the season, that they would make the playoffs to begin with.
I know 2 years ago you thought the Bears were going to be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I thought they were coming on. But people forget that. How did you remember it? I'm surprised.
I just remember everyone's saying, how can the Greeks pick the Bears at? And now here they are. How about the Patriots? When did that change? How did they start out?
They started at 35 to 1, and believe it or not, John, they were still 35 to 1 after they made the wild card. Because, you know, they have to be 4 games on the road, and you know how tough that is. And even today, right before the Super Bowl, they're still a 4 to 1 underdog.
Well, then, when did they change? And when did they come from 35 to 1? At what point in the season did someone say...
Well, they beat the Jets. They beat the Jets in the playoff game. And then they were very fortunate to beat the Raiders. Rather, the Raiders self-destructed, if I could say that. And then from then on, you know, it was like still 15 to 1. And they went into Miami, and Shula, for some reason or other, did not have his team ready, and they got beat. And now here they are. But it went like 35, 15, 10, and they're still 4.
Well, now, how do you see this? How do you see the game Sunday?
I think the Bears are going to win it because they do something on first down that nobody else seems to do. Ditka stops all these teams on first down. And you know more about that than I do. And then they're always in trouble. They're always 3rd and long, the team's 3rd and long, and they intercept or do something. But nobody ever seems to do anything on first down on this team. The first team that can run on this team or pass on first down, I mean, might beat them.
You think that could be the Patriots?
I hope not, because I'm a Bear rooter today. I want you to know that.
You know, one thing that you can't account for, though, and that's the way the Patriots get turnovers.
Most teams ride into the Super Bowl on the arm of their quarterback. Some teams rely on a strong defense. But the New England Patriots have been getting their edge this year from a most unlikely source, their special teams. This whole run by the special teams began on a Monday night in December in the Orange Bowl against the Dolphins. This group of 11 that charges recklessly into the fray went from the nameless to the namely on that night.
Everyone individually on the special team is going down and trying to create a big turnover by getting a big hit or stripping the ball. And then you got the other guys, 9 or 10 of them right behind, ready to scoop it up or recovering it.
Although a factor all season long, the special teams contributed best when the team needed it most. In the AFC wildcard game against the Jets. In the AFC semifinal against the Raiders. And finally, in the AFC title game against Miami, setting up a touchdown to ensure the trip to New Orleans and the Super Bowl.
They've been coming up with these plays that, you know, quite frankly, in 15 years, I haven't seen a whole lot of that stuff. And it's a great tribute to their effort and the way they're playing.
The Patriots special teams have cashed in on turnovers all season long. But can they make it happen one more time against the Chicago Bears in the ultimate game?
Well, we're going down there and, like sure say, bury the Bears.
A lot of times when you evaluate these games, you tend to talk about the offense against the defense and what the quarterbacks are going to do and all those types of things, and you forget the special teams. You forget turnovers. I'll tell you one thing, with this Patriot team, you can't forget those ingredients. And then talking about specials and Super Bowls and the Chicago Bears, another thing you can't forget, how can you forget number 72 of the refrigerator? You know, when you talk about a guy who's an inspiration to all us big guys, that guy has to be in this show. Michael Jackson had it. So did Chuck Yeager. And this 308-pound football player has it. William Perry is America's newest folk hero. They write songs about him.
Watch that defense yield, piling up the yardage down on Soldier Field. A big William Perry, about 300 pounds. First you get the football, then you mow them down.
You say you got a refrigerator, well, you know, I don't mean a Frigidaire.
He appears in national commercials and editorial cartoons. He even has his own cheerleading squad, the Fridgettes.
This boom bop, refrigerator, refrigerator, rah, rah, rah. Woo!
Sporting goods stores can't keep enough Fridge T-shirts on the shelves.
I have plain jerseys I can put number 72 on, but T-shirts are all gone. We used to carry mugs and signs with the Fridge on it, but those are also all gone.
How did it all start?
We was going to play San Francisco that weekend, and Coach Dick, we was practicing down in South Park down there, and he said, come here, big guy, I want to try something out. So we was messing around, and he said, line up. When I said go, you come up, and I'm see how you take the ball off and stuff and everything. So I took it off like a fullback with my arms and hands all right, and he said, if we get a nice lead, you gonna run the ball a couple times.
After he scored 2 touchdowns, one via the run, and another as a pass receiver, it was goodbye William Perry. Hello, Fridge. National hero to all fans. But believe it or not, the Fridge opened in San Francisco to mixed reviews.
Did you see him hit up in there? Dust, smoke, and everything was coming out of there.
I don't think he made too many yards, did he? I don't think he has a future there. I think.
But Perry came to Chicago to play defense, something he did very well in college at Clemson. In fact, Fridge, the fullback, has been scarce since Perry, the defensive tackle, earned a starting spot. He faces Patriot All-Pro John Hanna in the Super Bowl. A problem, says William, only if Hanna finesse blocks him.
Well, say that he is a power blocker. I mean, how do you play a power blocker?
Well, that's easy. If you're a power blocker, I just use my weight against his power, and I don't think he can move me out there in no way. So I just play him like that.
Well, that's a big guy, the big rookie, the refrigerator, biscuit, whatever. I'll tell you, he was sure good for football. And when we come back, we're going to go to the blackboard and we're going to look at that 46 defense. We'll see how those guys line up when we continue with my Super Bowl special.
We're reaching out. Every weekday afternoon. At 4 o'clock, it's the mischievous Dennis the Menace. Then at 4:30, go back in time with the folks at Petticoat Junction. At 5 o'clock, laughter continues with My 3 Sons. And at 5:30, the adventures of the Lone Ranger. All this and more every weekday afternoon right here on TV 40.
Working together, it's getting better. Channel 40 reaching out.
You begin with raw steel. Shape it with fire, muscle, and sweat. Polish it to razor-sharp perfection. We're looking for a few good men with a medal to be Marines.
Stay with us. I'll have more from New Orleans right after these words from your local station.
Castle Clean Car Wash wants to be your car wash specialist. Our business is cleaning cars, and we do it fast and efficiently using the latest in industry technology, like an all-cloth wash process, including hand rubbing that's gentle to your car's surface, and special chemicals to enhance a car's finish and prevent spotting. Your car is a major investment, so let the professionals at Castle Clean protect it for you. Open 7 days a week all year, now with 3 locations across from Castleton Plaza, the Nora Plaza Shopping Center, and our newest location, Castle Clean Northwest on 86th Street, just west of 421.
Let's get back to this Super Bowl, Super Bowl 20. There's a lot of talk in this game about the Bear defense, that 46 defense. Their defensive coordinator, Buddy Ryan, the genius that he is, and the things that he's put together. Well, let's take a look at a 46 defense and see what this thing is. Well, first of all, they don't line their defensive linemen up like normal people do. Most people have a 4-man line and they spread them evenly across, or a 3-man line evenly across. The Bears overload their defense in the middle with one end out here rushing. And what they do, Steve McMichael lines up here over this guard. Dan Hampton lines up over the center. That puts him man-to-man on the center with no help. This is William Perry, the refrigerator. He lines up on this guard. So what happens in this box here, these 2 guards and the center have to block man-to-man on these 3. And there's no help. They can't pass off. Now out here, isolated out here, is Richard Dent, who is one of the best pass rushers in the National Football League. So he's out here man-to-man. So they get this overload here where there's no free man, and you have to block this thing all by yourself. So that's part of the problem. And they get this big push. This is what Eason is going to have to be looking at all day, this big push straight up the middle, right into his face. So the quarterback has to get back quickly and get rid of the ball. Okay, so you figure out that you got that part of it handled. Now the linebackers. Usually you line up one linebacker on this side and one linebacker on this side, with one in the middle. Not the Bears. The Bears line up 2 linebackers on the tight end. This is Otis Wilson and Wilbur Marshall. Now the problem is, either both of these guys can drop off, which they don't normally do, or they can both come on a blitz. So if they both come, now your tackle here has to slide out to get them, and your tight end either has to stay in or your back has to take this guy. So if you finally get that straightened out, then they bring their other linebacker, who's their middle linebacker, Mike Singletary, and he's the heart and soul of the defense. Now, if they bring him anywhere, how do you pick up that? See, so that's the things the Patriots are worrying about right now. That's what Raymond Berry's thinking about, and that's what Tony Eason's thinking about. How are we going to handle this deal? So we got the linemen, and we have the linebackers. Now, how about the secondary? Now, the secondary, most people line up their strong safety out here over the tight end, not the Bears. They line up their strong safety right here, Dave Duerson. He lines up on the weak side as another linebacker. So, in essence, they always give you right up here on the line of scrimmage, they give you 8 men. So it's tough to run. As you can see, there's no gaps, no holes in here, and it's tough to pass, especially with their blitzing and pass rush. Because, as you can see, if they bring the linebackers from this side, you have a problem here. Or, in addition to that, they can bring Duerson in here, or they can bring him in here. So how do you pick up those things? Now, if you can pick up those things, you really have an advantage. Because here, if there is a weakness in this defense, it's against a big play. Because out here, you see they have their cornerbacks have to play man-to-man if they blitz with no help. So they're out here man-to-man, really on an island. They only have one free safety. That's Gary Fensick, a real good one here in the middle. So I think what the Patriots have to do, you have to run at this thing enough just to make them hang in there. Then after that, you have to be able to get the back here quickly, get rid of the ball, and get it to your outside receivers that are usually man-to-man. I'll tell you, when I look at this defense, and I look at this 46, and I look at the possibilities and the way they can blitz, and they come and all the pressure they put on you, the fact that there hasn't been a touchdown scored against them in a playoff game, the fact that I did 5 games, I've never seen anyone score a touchdown yet against this defense. I'm kind of glad I retired. With that, we'll be back.
If you visited all the places some nationwide long-distance companies don't serve, you'd be on the road a long time. There are a lot of services you take for granted with AT&T that most companies don't have, like calling from anywhere to anywhere, operator service, and immediate credit for wrong numbers. Looks like most companies still have a long way to go to measure up to AT&T. The more you hear, the better we sound. AT&T, the right choice.
You've either got to be a little crazy to take a long trip in a small truck, or you got to have the right truck. If you go drive one of these new Mazdas, you'll never know how good a small truck can be. This SE5 is really a kick to drive. It's got all kinds of room inside. It's quiet and quick. And even though its price might lead you to believe it's some kind of bare-bones truck, believe it or not, what you see is what you get.
Yeah, and there's plenty of room back here for what you got today, Mr. Garner.
Welcome back for some final thoughts. I'm joined by Barry Tompkins, Dan Fouts, and Jimmy the Greek. And Barry, you spent some time with Tony Eason. How is his confidence going into Super Bowl 20?
Well, let me go back to the game in Miami. I was down in Miami that week, and the Patriots were there practicing. He was loose. The whole team was loose. Everybody was looking to him. You could see his confidence really grow, and you really had the feeling that they were going to win that game, and of course they did. Now, here in New Orleans, I get a little bit of a different feel. You always used to say that the first time you go to the Super Bowl, you play just to get there, and the next time you go, you play to win. And I kind of have the feeling that maybe there's a little bit of a false confidence in the Patriots this year, that they're here just to be here.
You know, Dan, one more thing that is kind of interesting. The game is being played indoors, and the Bears' defense has been so dominant, but they've also had that inclement weather. What does this whole weather thing have to do with quarterbacks throwing and maybe offense in particular?
Well, there's no finer place to play for a quarterback than indoors. There's no wind, there's no sun to get in the receiver's eyes. It's perfect throwing conditions for a quarterback. And when you play in Chicago and Soldier Field, there's no worse place to play, maybe Candlestick Park, but they both have the wind and the glare and the terrible inclement weather. But Eason won't have that problem, but he has a lot of problems with that Bears defense.
And how about McMahon?
Well, McMahon's on a roll. I look for him to have another big day. He plays with so much confidence, and his teammates give him confidence. He knows that if he throws an interception or has a couple of bad series, that defense will get him back the ball. He'll have another chance to make a big play.
And Jimmy the Greek, a final thought. How do you see this game? What's going to happen Super Bowl 20?
Eason can't pass off his butt, and that's where he's going to be. And McMahon leads the Bears. They don't lead him. He leads the Bears. He's by far the biggest asset that the Bears have, regardless of what anybody's is. It's the quarterback. It's McMahon over Eason. That's the difference of the 10 points right there.
And what's the final score?
The final score?
Yeah.
Big John. 24-10. The Bears.
Dan, what's your final score?
Well, we can't get into final scores. I'm still a player, and our commissioner frowns against that, John, but I think it'll be a very exciting game. How's that? Is that safe enough?
Yeah, that's safe for a quarterback that has to play him again. How about you, Barry?
I like the Bears. I think about 27-10.
Thank you, Barry. Thanks, everyone, and thanks for joining us. And I hope that in this last hour that you got something that may make Super Bowl 20 just a little more enjoyable. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next year.
John Madden's Super Bowl Special has been brought to you by AT&T. In long-distance services, information systems, telephones, and computers, AT&T is the right choice. And by TYLENOL. Trust TYLENOL, the pain reliever hospitals use most. This has been a presentation of Goal Line Productions in association with GGP Sports.